Okay, Moon to Moon. Here we are with our very final astrological teaching. Here I want to weave together a lot of what we've been looking at across the astrological teachings, not all of them, but a lot of them, so that I can guide you in how you could begin to, what we say in astrology, delineate, how you could begin to delineate the lunar when you encounter a chart. So let's dive in. Weaving techniques for the lunar. So the beginning, of course, is always asking, where is the moon? It sounds so basic, but the first thing when you get a new chart in front of you, and let me tell you, like, it's a wild thing to get your own chart for the first time. And then it's wild to see other people's charts. And you're like, that's what your chart looks like, you know? I mean, they are all so different. So the first thing that, when you're sitting in front of a chart, and I'll just say that whenever I'm about to see a chart, it's always really exciting. I mean, they're so beautiful. They represent so much wonder and magic in the world that they speak to someone's life. They speak to a human experience. Always a magical thing. And my invitation is always to take several deep breaths before it and really relax into receiving the chart, because yes, there's some figuring out that you can do, but the more magical thing in many ways is to let the chart guide you through your own intuitive sensibilities and through your noticing things about the chart, trusting that a lot of that is very mysteriously guided and intelligent. And so, beginning by just relaxing to set an intention to connect to lunar wisdom that you see in the chart and begin to wonder about that. So I brought in the chart of Meghan Markle and Barack Obama because I was like, who is someone everybody knows? It's kind of actually hard to think of people that everybody knows, and that I like know enough about to even say anything. Um, I'm really not an astrologer that brings in celebrity charts. Like, never been a thing. It's just not really a thing in my practice. So I'm not used to this. But I've been showing you my chart a lot, and I wanted to bring in like a chart that you maybe have never seen before, but of somebody who isn't a stranger to you because you have some sense of them. Even if what we know of them is very much based on projection, like we have absolutely a picture of who we believe they are. We don't actually know these human beings. So, honoring that there's something kind of wild about our access to their birth information and the fact that we can look at their charts without their consent and without them in the room. So, just naming all of those strange things and inviting in absolute compassion, total compassion for each of these individuals as human beings here having a human experience, living in a world with so much projection, whether they invited that visibility or is at some level only something that we can ever partially know anything about. So all of this is to say, let's begin. We're just asking questions, wondering, Oh, where is the moon here? Where is the moon? So we're looking for that crescent symbol. So you can come into the chart. This is one that you'll want to watch in video, but there's also the slide deck if you want to do the audio. So as you can see, Megan's born August 4th, 1981, 4:46 a.m. in Los Angeles, California. And according to astrocharts.com or whatever it's called, her birth time is considered excellent. So let's just assume that it's correct. So you can see then that her moon is down here in Libra. There's her sun in Leo. And we can see that there's a Libra moon here. It's at 4 degrees of Libra. And using a whole sign system, which is the system that I use, this is a moon that's in the 4th house. So here we are learning things about Megan. Megan, I wonder if you have found it to be true that you receive a lot of emotional safety and security through your relationships, your one-on-one relationships with others. I'm wondering if it feels true to you that your openness to the subtleties of beauty and art and the sense of things being in harmony around you is part of how you seek emotional security, and that it may have become very important to you across your childhood to insist upon a kind of harmonious environment in order to feel emotionally safe. I wonder if you found that by having emotional safety and security solidified through the foundations of your home life, 4th house, through where you live and how you set up your home, I wonder if it feels to you like that has to be the most important thing for your emotional safety so that you can do all the other things that you care about doing in your life. Then the next question can be, all right, so which planet is the ruler of the moon then? Meaning, which planet rules the sign where the moon is? And then where is that planet? What's its placement? Tell me. So, Megan, I'd love to talk to you about the ruler of your moon, Venus, because what Venus most cares about may be how you attuned to your emotional safety and security. And conversation, sub in then conversation about Venus. And I wonder if your expression of Venus, I wonder if you find a lot of pleasure and you find a lot of joy in your conversational life, your daily life, your local community, being part of the neighborhood where you live, being able to be near your maybe people that you've grown up with or your cousins, siblings, but also like the groups that you like to belong to and that are part of like the rituals of your everyday life. I wonder if it feels really grounding for you and that if it supports your health, in order to feel like you have like a really clear efficient way of connecting to the groups in your life that um, are how you get ideas. Like you get stimulated by being able to have conversations with your local community and the groups in your community. And a lot of these may be very interested in health and nutrition and healing. Just riffing on things for Venus and Virgo in the third there and seeing, if Megan resonates with any of these things by client Megan. And then seeing like what she says that's like, we're onto it. And then now we can go in deeper together. And tell me about your local community. Tell me about your daily patterns that you like to do, where you live and how you like to learn from your neighborhood and feel connected that way. And I'm wondering if that giving yourself this food for your emotional security and for the pleasures of connecting in relationship with people really supports you in how you resource yourself, how you provide for your family, how you are someone who can give to the world. Now I'm moving to Leo because Mercury rules Venus, and then Venus is ruled by the sun, and the sun is in Leo, so second house stuff. I'm wondering if, like, ultimately, what you really, really would like is to be able to illuminate resources and to really be able to feel yourself as someone who shares their light and shares their glow and shares your goldenness in the world in ways that shine light on what abundance can look like when it comes from a place of beauty and a place of relationship. So it's like abundance Leo through the Venusian. And then seeing how that riffs for Megan can help us also talk about her career, because that sun happens to be exactly trining her most public place, which is in Aries. So more fire. Another question can be, what aspects is the moon making with other planets? What is the relationship to the sun? The moon, in this case, what's the relationship to the sun? So she was born, Megan, you were born at a really rare moment, because not only is it a rare thing for Saturn and Jupiter to come together in the sky, this happened for everyone born around when you went your high school year, but then this didn't happen again for what is it, a 30-year period? Saturn and Jupiter were just together in 2020. I can't remember now if there was one in between, but anyway, I would have researched that before our meetup. And it's a rare thing that the moon moves so quickly through the sky, and it just so happened that your moon was born exactly with this Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Libra, which is like this at such a foundational place in your chart, because it's like the foundations of who you are. And it just feels like there's a real commitment here to ethics. There's a real commitment here to justice, that there's a real commitment here to confronting structures for justice and fairness in this world and rightness. Like, I'm curious for you, Megan, like when you think about the scales themselves, like what comes up for you when you think about the scales and how your heart may long for those scales to feel right to you, not just in your home, but really in a much larger way, in this world. Does that resonate for you, Megan? And then sextile Mercury and Leo. Let's see, where did I mean? Yeah, Mercury. We're just speaking about it. So like I feel like you have this uh quality of being able to really speak that, like the feelings that you have about the subtleties of um how people should be treated, how government should be set up, like right and wrong, contracts, diplomacy. I have this feeling like you probably have a real facility with being able to articulate through words, like really being able to communicate and shine a light on what you notice in your interior world is just not sitting right with you. Does that resonate? And I feel like maybe this is how you're going to make money. Like, I feel like this is going to be a way that you resource yourself and really know like what you provide here on this planet. Okay. Good conversations. We'll keep having great conversations. And then it's like, okay, where's Cancer? What's happening to Cancer? Cancer in the first house. She's Cancer rising. The helm. The helm of the ship. This is the chariot, right? The chariot of the chart is the first house, and she's got Cancer there. Her moon most cares about that helm because your moon most cares about the affairs of where you have Cancer. And I'm noticing, I feel like, what you care about, Megan, I feel like you probably feel most in flow in your life and like your life has the most momentum when you follow the intuition that's guiding you towards what you most care about, like what you really care about, what you care about protecting, what you care about to feel safe for yourself, but not only to help others feel safe too. Um, I feel like you probably feel, Megan, most able to show up to your life motivated and guided by your intuitive sense of like, this is what I care about. These are the people I care about. These are the concerns that I care about. These are the issues I care about. When you're when you're securing this foundation for a home life that centers beauty, art, and peace. Like you really have to have that home life set up so that you can go out and be in the world someone that is very forceful about what you care about. Would you say that that feels true to you? Yeah, and I feel like you're probably pretty forceful, like when it comes to what you care about, like kind of pointed, like you might turn people off because like what I'm looking at, Megan, is your Mars in the first house. Like there's a pointedness to you that is the part of you that like will not tolerate um threats to what you want to protect. Would you say that that feels true? So that's just a very playful way of thinking about how um, to bring things out, based on these core questions. So then moving to President Obama, let's see, where is the moon? Ah, yes, the moon is in Gemini, another air moon in the fifth. So, Mr. President, I'm feeling like you get a lot of just sweet emotional safety from playfulness, like playing, having fun, like being stimulated, talking with people, being into lots of things, being with your kids, doing a lot of things, like got this project, got this project, you got this project, you're all over the place, you're multitasking. Is that just for you, like how, you can come back to yourself and feel nourished emotionally? I mean, this is a peppy moon. Oh, yeah, you could even tease him, like, because this is gonna, we're gonna tease here, right? This is a moon in Gemini in the fifth house of like joy and playing. Like, oh my gosh, were you like a prankster? Tell me about your prankster history. Oh my gosh. But I bet sometimes people are like, how do you have so much energy? And I bet they're like, I can't keep up with you. Like, can you chill out? And you're like, this is who I am. Is that how you are? I bet it is. You probably sometimes feel like a little distracted by how much you have going on. Like why do these projects actually have to be finished, right? Unshaming unfinished projects, right, Mr. Obama? I'm having fun with this, y'all. um okay, so we're going deeper. Moon is ruled by Mercury, so then we're like, where's Mercury? All right, Leo, another Leo Mercury. Okay, cool. Seventh house, got it. Interpersonal relationships, ruled by, of course, the sun. Also in domicile, another Leo, another Leo. Okay, so, I'm feeling like you probably feel like, it's through your partnerships, like maybe with your wife or other one-on-one partners that really matter for you, that you just feel the most boosted, the most the most inspired, the most like your heart warms and opens, and it's just like the joy of being with the person that you love to be with. And I bet they feel like you really see them, like I bet your one-on-one partners feel so seen, and that having those one-on-one relationships is somehow tied to your play life, that like there's like this connection between the things you like to do for hobbies and what's fun to you, and the people that you feel the most connected to you in a deep way in this life. Would you say that that's true? I bet one-on-one relationships really matter to you. It's like, oh, so cute. Okay, so Moon square Pluto. Yeah. So then, you're before the meetup, you're thinking, "Ooh, Moon square Pluto, though, that does indicate that was probably hard." And square Chiron. Yeah. So you see there's the Moon square Pluto and Moon square Chiron, and then Pluto and Chiron are opposite. It's Chiron, the wounded healer. So this can be a zone where you can begin to tread with like it's a Pluto eighth house too, though. So there's probably a lot of privacy there, so that's kind of a tiptoe, it's a tiptoe anyway with all Pluto. But yeah, it's hard to say depending on the vibe. if I'd even go there, to tell you the truth. I'm just like talking with y'all as if I was going to give this reading, which is really a conversation full of questions to see what can be illuminated from the dark. It would really depend on his openness, based on how he responded to a lot of different things. But I might bring up something like, sometimes you may be noticing these other lines from the moon. And this can indicate areas where you've been through a lot, like you've been through some emotional intensity in this life, I imagine. Maybe there's stories with experiences with your caregivers that may have been hard, one or the other. That ultimately, like what your chart would say, is that there's a lot of emotional depth and a lot of emotional wisdom that can come with configurations like these. But it also, to be honest, it probably wasn't always very easy or fun to have these placements. So I'm naming it just to honor it. We don't have to go there, and then just see how he feels about talking about that with me. However, I do really see a kind of but I see too, though, that you probably were able to access ways of talking about and understanding the story of those journeys. So now I'm looking at Jupiter and Mercury, where we have more easeful trine and sextile. I imagine that you were able to weave those hardships into stories that really have, like, not only lift your spirit, but actually make you someone who uplifts others and someone who can find language and find stories, to big stories, for those who are listening to feel themselves told in those, to feel themselves seen in those stories, to feel their struggles woven with something larger than their lives. That really inspires action and inspires individuals to think beyond themselves. Like, it looks like you probably have some real talent there with that. Is that something that you recognize in yourself? These charts. Okay, so finally it's like, okay, Cancer's in the sixth. So, what I'm also sensing for you is, as much as you love to play, like I imagine it feels really important to you to give a lot of work, like a lot of your work, a lot of energy, a lot of service. Like I imagine that an incredible capacity for service is just really important to you at an emotional level. Like, you probably just have stores of ability to give time and energy to what you are a servant to, what you're devoted to. Would you say that that's true? And my guess is that there's like a real connection between your capacity for work and your capacity for play. And that it's like, the more you fill the bucket of play, and the more you fill the bucket of like being a dad, the more you feel like your emotional world is full again, to go back to work and like give and give and give and give so much time and energy to what you feel yourself to be in service to. Would you say that that's true? Does that resonate? So Thanks for playing. But that style is personally how I approach like reading sessions, because when I'm in a space with someone, we're going to talk about the lunar, which most astrological readings you will address the moon. We're talking about their emotional life. And, a lot of people don't like even know about their emotional life or think that much about their emotional life. And but but that but that doesn't mean that they want someone to tell them what their emotional life is. Like this that can like create a sense of like back off. Like you don't know me. Um and so by populating the session with questions rather than statements, you can feel able to um, create an approachability around what is often like unlooked at or unconscious or just devalued by the person, and give them a chance to feel, does that resonate for me? Does that resonate for me? And then you can continue to just question, does it resonate? Yes. Yes, no. And sometimes people will just say yes, no. And that doesn't mean you're doing a bad job at delineating. For those of you who are learning to give delineations, it can just mean that this is not someone who regularly talks about their emotional life, especially with someone that they've never met before, And so you can be like absolutely blowing their minds and hearts open, but they may feel very nervous about articulating anything that you're bringing in. So you learn a lot early by creating a safe space where you're not going to tell people who they are. You're going to invite them to just decide if they resonate or not. And then as they feel reflected through the questions that you're asking, and they feel safe because they feel like they're being given a choice whether or not to agree with you, and not that they have to agree with you, you may find that the person then wants to tell you things. And then when they tell you things, you will definitely be able to feel more coming through from the chart to point to or to bring up. And it just begins to flow on a life of its own, as someone feels deeply seen. Especially, it's powerful to feel deeply seen at an emotional level, in a part of themselves that they don't normally even see. So I hope this was supportive. I think I went a little bit over. Thank you for your patience. And I'm wishing you the very best as you continue to enjoy charts at the lunar level.